name is Tara. I'm a professional singer based in Brooklyn, in New York City, in the United States. And this is Free Voice Lesson Thursday. If this is your first time joining me, welcome, welcome. And if you're not new here, welcome as well. We have a new format. Hi, Hannah, welcome. We have a new format this week. So in the past, I've been inviting people up on the multi guest on TikTok Live. And then having people, bring something to me that they wanted to work on, whether it was a piece of a song or a technique, a singing technique. And I'm switching it up this week and for the future. Hi, Val, welcome. Because I wanted to be able to go live on YouTube as well. And I'm still kind of figuring this out. So if anybody here is watching, hanging out, you have any suggestions for me in the comments to improve upon this, like I'm 100% open to feedback. Thank you for the follow, Jess. I appreciate it. So what we're going to be doing on the new format is that I'm going to give almost more of like a lecture style lesson, but I want you all to participate at home, okay? And then as I'm trying to figure out how to do the YouTube and TikTok at the same time, which is possible, but based on my research, you guys, are you ready for this? I have a Mac and an iPhone, and you really need a Windows machine to stream for TikTok and YouTube at the same time. Isn't that wild? It's like, I'm an elder millennial. So like I have the tech part to me, but I'm not like, oh my God, my Gen Z nephew just like steamrolls me with any technological information. So I feel like there must be something I'm missing, but like you can't go live on TikTok from anything other than a mobile device unless you have a Windows machine. Like the TikTok live studio is only for Windows. So I know. I'm skeptical as well. I've done so much research about it. One of my friends who's like a coder and an engineer looked into it for me as well. And his answer was the same answer I found. Get a Windows machine, like get a cheap Windows machine. So we'll see. I mean, I know that I can download Windows onto my Mac, but like she's old. I don't want to put that much pressure on her. I think it would be better to just get a device that's dedicated for streaming. But anyway, keep being skeptical, Jess. And if you find any answers, please let me know. So all of that just to say, what we're going to do today is we're going to work on finding our own unique voice. Okay, someone said this to me in one of the earlier sessions this week, and this was kind of where my intuition was guiding me anyway. So I was like, all right, let's go. We're going to find our own voices this week because when we learn to sing, we mimic and imitate quite a bit. The mirror neurons in human beings are very strong. So how do we know what's our voice and what's like our voice influenced by what we're hearing, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And then depending on how much time it takes, how many questions we have, if there's still time left in the live, then on TikTok, I will open up the multi-guest. And if people want to join me and try working with me to find their own voice, right, we're going to stay on topic. That's the big change, right, is we're doing one topic each day and we're going to stick to that rather than bouncing around to different topics that people have questions on. I think that this might help more people in this way. So this is why I wanted to try this new way. And like I said, I'm open to feedback. So how's everybody doing today? Hi. Welcome, welcome. I would love to know in the comment section if you have any like pre-existing struggles for finding your own singing voice, like do you have any questions off the bat? Is there something like, this really confuses me. I'm not entirely sure what, if this is my real voice, any sort of questions you might have in regard to that. I'll wait a minute. And if there are no like questions to begin with, then we'll just get started. We'll see. See how it goes. Hi, Tan Tan. And while you're typing your questions into the chat, I will take this moment to remind you that in my link tree, in my profile, both on YouTube and on TikTok that you can find the third button is a tip me button. If you click on that, a document will open. It has my PayPal, my Venmo, Cash App, Zelle, all the things. So donations in any amount help me to keep this content free. So if you're willing and able, all tips are appreciated. Jess says, I think I know my range. Then when I try to sing more audibly or louder, I lose control of the pitch. Is that normal or something I just worked through? Oh, gotta go for work. But happy to have crossed your live this morning. I'm happy you found me too. Welcome, Jess. I look forward to having you. So you feel vocal control when you're singing quietly, but when you're singing louder, you feel like you're losing your vocal control. So I'm going to guess that that's just a matter of practice and getting used to hearing the sound of your own voice, right? If you feel like you're really under control when you're singing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, but the second you do Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, there's a huge difference in the pressurization of my vocal folds between those two things I just sang, right? So what I'm guessing is that your body isn't comfortable pressing the vocal folds together tight enough to make a louder sound. And that's why you're feeling like you don't have control, because the coordination and the strengthening of the vocal folds aren't quite there yet. So if you're still here, I know you had to run for work, but if you're still here, I would recommend something called SOVT exercises. I'll drop it in the chat right now. And Google it, look it up, and then come back to another one of my sessions and we can talk more about SOVT. Okay, but SOVT is essentially like bicep curls for strengthening your voice. And it's a lot of work with a straw. Like maybe you've seen singing straws. That's what the singing straws are for, SOVT exercises. You can also accomplish the same thing with the straw by going like this. What we're essentially doing is just sending some air back towards the vocal folds by limiting the amount of air that can come out of our mouths. And that adds some pressurization to the vocal folds, so they have to work a little bit harder. So you also might just have to get used to hearing yourself, right? Because there has to be connection between what you hear and what you're singing, right? A lot of times people can hear that they're out of tune, but they don't know how to fix it with their own singing voice. So as you're starting to learn how to sing louder and control that sound, try to make sure too that you're figuring out a way to connect what you're hearing to what you're feeling in your voice. Okay, you're super welcome, Jess. Rome or Rome, pardon me if I said your name incorrectly. Thank you for the roses. I appreciate it. Yvonne asked, how do I do scream vocals? You're going to want to look up Melissa Cross. I am not qualified to give you that information, but I can send you to somebody who is. All right. And I believe she has quite a bit of free content. I'd go to her website and go from there, but she is the, Melissa Cross is the like world-renowned scream vocals coach. I do not have the knowledge to help you, unfortunately. So thank you. Thank you, Rome. If you want to type it phonetically so I say your name correctly, that'd be awesome, but no pressure. I appreciate you being part of the community. Verseless Music says, I don't know my own voice at all. All right, well, we're going to get to know it today. Verseless, let's go. Amelie says, I find mixed belting so difficult. How can I do it? Yeah, it is difficult. You're going to want to just find a bunch of exercises until you find one that really works for you. The one that I use the most with my students is mum. Mum, 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 mum. Okay, or those SOVT exercises that I was talking about with Jess earlier today. Mixed belting will be a topic for voice lessons for future. So if you're not a follower or subscribing on YouTube, go ahead and do that. And when I post the live event each week, the topic is in the description. So like today, we're going to work on finding our own voice, and mixed belting comes up all the time. It's super tricky. So we will definitely get to it more. But in the meantime, I say try those mum exercises and use a straw to try to sing what you want to sing and then remove the straw. That's your mixed belt sound, right? You have to be familiar with it before you can really develop it. You have to know how to land in it first. Does that make sense? You can't hone something if it only happens sometimes. Sometimes you find your mixed belt and sometimes you don't. You have to develop the consistency of being able to find your mixed belt first, and then you can start to hone it. Does that make sense? How long should one stay on the octave of a regular song? I'm not sure I entirely understand the question. How long should one stay on the octave of a regular song? Would you say more, Rume? I'm not entirely certain that I understand your question. I'm not sure if you mean like, should one follow the melody while they're singing, or if it's in a different like key than is comfortable for your voice, if you can sing it up an octave. I'm not entirely sure if I'm understanding, so let me know. Okay, so let's talk about finding our own voice. Let's say I sing on a middle C and move up. Yeah, I'm still not quite understanding something. It's hard to sit. It's like it's a pretty broad question, I think, if I'm understanding it, what you're asking, because the melodies to songs are all different. So like you could be in the key of A, but that doesn't necessarily mean the melody is going to be in the same part of the key of A as a different song. Even if they're in the same key, like melodies are all very subjective. So I think it would be really difficult to give a solid answer to that. If you're asking about like how to stylize the vocals of the song, that's something that's like very unique to each person. So, and we're going to talk about that more in this finding our own voice work that we're about to do. I hope that made sense. If I didn't answer your question, if you could find it like a clarifying way to ask, I'm happy to come back around to it. Okay, so when we are learning how to sing, it's really something that like, oh, I did answer it. Okay, awesome, cool, glad to hear it. It's something that like, let me ask you this for everybody who's here in the comments. Do you remember learning how to sing? Did somebody teach you how to sing? Or was it something that you just started doing? You'd hear music and you'd start to figure out a way to participate in it. Whether it's singing along, humming, dancing, stomping your feet, maybe clapping. I'm just curious if anybody ever remembers an adult, a caretaker of some sort, going to them as a toddler, this is how we sing, la, 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 la. Tallulah's been teaching herself and finding videos along the way. Yeah. The point that I am attempting to make here is that singing isn't something that we're necessarily taught, right? It's very innate. It's something that like we just hear music and it connects us as human beings and we find a way to participate, right? Even if we are not hearing or not able to speak, right? Music is vibration, sound is vibration. So even people who don't necessarily have the ability to hear well or to speak well can still find a way to feel the music and participate. Hi, Clara. I'm well. How are you? So all of that just to say, how do we find our own voice if we've been essentially imitating music or singing for, the majority of our existence, right? And the answer to that question, excuse me one moment. The answer to that question is that your singing voice sounds a lot like your speaking voice. Okay. And that isn't to say that when we are learning how to sing that we can't become masters of tone and learn how to change the positioning of all the vocal equipment in order to change the sounds that we're creating. But if we want to find the voice that is most unique to us, that is our own voice, that is not a mimicry of someone else's voice, we have to start with our speaking voice. Does that make sense? Thank you, Clara. 319 likes. Love it. Great. So what I'd like you all to do at home, we're going to find our singing voices together. So what I'd like you to do at home is say, thank you very much. 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 Say it a bunch of times. And I want you to listen to what you're saying. Can you hear the quality of your own voice as you say, thank you very much? Thank you. Thank you very much. So now what I'm going to try to do is pitch what I was just saying close to where I'm speaking. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Excuse me. This might be a problem. I may have to go away and come back. I got very sick at the end of January and it will not fully leave. So pardon me. Okay. So we're saying thank you very much, and we're finding our speaking voices. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now we're kind of turning it into its own little singing exercise. Thank you very much. And did you hear how I'm not trying to sing? What I'm doing is I'm taking my speech and I'm lengthening my words. And I'm doing this to try to find the qualities of my voice that will transfer to my singing voice. And then we try to put some notes to it. Thank you very much. That was even a little too singy for what we're trying to do here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Can you hear how I'm trying to just speak on pitch? This is giving me the opportunity to hear what my own voice sounds like on pitches versus just talking. Is that making sense? Let me know in the chat if you have any questions. Thank you for the roses. Okay. So let's try this. I would love to try this like a vocal exercise together. So what we're going to do is we're going to speak the words thank you very much every time. And then we're going to sing them in hopes of finding the quality of our singing voice that is very similar to our speaking voice. Thank you very much. 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 Okay. Now we're going to keep going, but what I want you to do is to start to pay attention to what you can feel inside when you say, thank you very much. Can you take an inventory of where your tongue is placed, how the palate is. The palate is, we have the hard palate, which is the roof of our mouth, and then the soft palate, which is the squishy behind. And a great way to connect with your soft palate is to force a yawn. You can feel it lift up towards your sinus cavity. Okay, so you want to try to figure out, where is my larynx? The larynx is the whole voice box equipment. Is it high? Is it low? Is the back of my tongue high or low? Is my soft palate high or low? Right? We want to try to take an inventory of when we're speaking so that we can do our best to leave everything in the exact same place as we start to lengthen the words that we're saying into more of a singing quality. Okay. So we were here. That might look like, thank you very much. Okay. Now I'm going to sing it, but I'm leaving everything in the exact same place. Don't move anything. Thank you very much. Okay. Did you hear how speech like that was? Now, are we going to sing at a performance this way? Probably not, but it is going to help us become familiar with our own singing voice. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And now I'm getting to a place in the register of my voice where when I speak, thank you very much, and then I try to pitch it, it's getting high enough that I'm starting to leave what we call our chest voice register. Our chest voice register is the same register that we speak in. So thank you for the heart me. Hi, Betty. How are you today? Is everybody here familiar with vocal registers? If you're not, let me know. Drop it in the chat, and I'll go through a little bit about. I'll share some knowledge on vocal registers so that everybody has a thorough understanding. It is going to be important to understand as we move forward. So if you need a little more information on vocal registers, let me know in the chat. And ain't no shame in being a beginner. Okay. All right. I'm not familiar with vocal registers. Thank you. Okay, cool. So there are different vocal registers, and we're going to talk about the three big ones that we hear in contemporary singing quite a bit. So the first is this chest voice, okay? And chest voice is very similar to our speaking voice. So since today's topic for Free Voice Lesson Thursday is finding our own voice, we're going to be hanging out here in like our speech-like quality register, which is called your chest voice. Why is it called your chest voice? Well, it's because when we create sound, right? Obviously, the sound comes from our voice box, from our vocal folds. So a quick little anatomy lesson. The vocal folds are a V. They're shaped like the letter V, okay? And the front of the letter V is in the front of our bodies, and the opening of the letter V is towards the back of our bodies. And when we sing, what's happening is the back of the vocal folds are coming together like this, and they're vibrating, okay? And the speed of the vibration determines the pitch, and then the firmness of how tightly we're closing our vocal folds together is going to help determine the tonal quality, and it's going to help determine the loudness, the volume of what we're doing. Okay, so when we're in chest voice, it doesn't actually matter whether we're in chest voice or any other register. Sound is always being created here. Okay, you might hear a lot of voice teachers or vocal coaches talking about placement, placing the sound. You really can't place the sound anywhere else than where it's created. What we're actually trying to place is the resonance. Where in our body is it vibrating the most? Okay, so obviously the most vibration is always going to come from the voice box. It's always going to come from the throat. This is literally where the sound is being created. However, when we're in chest voice, the reason we call it chest voice is because it's resonating low, right? If you put one hand here, okay, and put another hand on your throat and talk, okay? And you're going to notice right away that you feel a lot of buzzing under the hand that's on your neck. Now take the hand that's on your neck away, and it's likely, depending on the quality of your speaking voice, this is not a steadfast rule, right? Everybody's body is different. But I am feeling quite a bit of vibration under the hand that's left on my chest. Let me know in the comments if when you are speaking, if you can feel vibrations in your chest under this hand that's on your chest. Okay. So this is why we refer to our lower register, our speaking register, as chest voice. Rumi felt it. Awesome. I did see your question too. I will get to it after the lesson is over. Okay. Thank you for being patient. Okay. So now we're going to talk about the opposite of chest voice, which is head voice. Now, head voice is our higher register. It's often lighter in tone and quality. Okay. And I also think that the majority of humans that I have worked with, at least with singing, people tend to not like their head voice. It's harder to control. It's softer, it's quieter. It doesn't have as much clarity often. So people don't like the sound of their head voices fairly often. So if you feel this way about your head voice, I'm just telling you this now, okay? It's okay to feel some type of way about the way it sounds, but I want to encourage you to not shy away from it if you don't like the way it sounds, because the more we shy away from it, the less we use it. The less we use it, the less practice it gets. The less we practice, the worse it gets, right? So it's not going to get better unless you keep working with it. Okay, so what the heck is it if you're not familiar with head voice? So now I want you all to try and talk like you're Mickey Mouse. Oh, hi, boys and girls, right? Everything is high, feels higher, right? So now if I put that hand on my chest and I talk like this, I don't feel the vibrations here anymore. If I put one here, I do feel some vibrations under my throat, because under my hand that's on my throat, because this is where we create sound. Now I'm going to put my hands up here on my head on these sinus cavities, okay? I don't necessarily feel strong vibration coming through the hands on my head the way I did when my hand was on my chest, but I can sense that the sound and the vibrations, the resonance, they're up here. I actually feel it the most behind my bridge of my nose. So go ahead and take some time, play with your hands on your face, and see where you feel the most buzz when you talk like Mickey Mouse in your head voice. Yeah, for me, I'm really feeling it in my sinus cavity. Let me know in the comments where you feel it. And I'm going to stop talking like that because it's annoying. Amanda, yes. We're exploring our different vocal registers as we find our own voices. Tallulah, I have an easier time with head voice than chest and mix. Yeah, that does happen. And it all depends on the quality of your speaking voice. So I definitely speak in a chest register. I have a student who speaks in mix, right? So finding her chest voice is actually really tricky, right? So Tallulah, your speaking voice might be more naturally of a mix, a lighter head voice. Like if this was my natural speaking voice, which this actually is a much healthier way of speaking. This is more of like a mixed speaking voice. There's some chest voice in here. There's some head voice in here. And you're hearing a combination of the two kind of mixing together. And that brings us to our third register, mixing. Okay. Mixing is a little bit of head voice, a little bit of chest voice, and it can be any percentage. So you can have 80% chest voice, 20% head voice. You can have 60% head voice, 40% chest voice. Okay. And mix is how we get that high belt sound. Okay. High belts aren't actually high belts. It's trickery. It's all trickery. What it actually is singing in a mixed voice that is so powerful and so strong that it tricks us into hearing a belt sound. But one of the qualifiers for a belt sound is that it's loud and that it's chesty. But our chest voices, like anatomically speaking, can only go up so high. So what happens when we want to belt notes that are higher than our chest voice goes? We start to mix. Okay. Easier time with head voice than chest voice and mixed. Pammy feels it in the front of their nose. Tallulah struggles with support in lower registers. Val also feels more comfortable in head voice. All right. Cool. This is all good information to know. So if you feel more comfortable in head voice, that means as you train and do vocal exercises, you need to put more work into chest voice. And if you feel more comfortable in your chest voice, then you need to put more work into your head voice. Okay? Cool. And there are it seems like we have a lot of people who are head voice dominant here. So if you have trouble supporting in your chest voice, that is a lot of abdominal wall work. It's breath work. It's learning how to support your breathing mechanism so that you have a solid grounded foundation off which to use your breathing mechanism. Okay. So you're going to want to spend a lot of time learning breath control and breath support and breath control. I think they're two different things. Breath support is going to be a little more important for somebody who struggles in chest voice. Breath control is important for everyone. Excuse me, but it's really necessary for chest voice. And the other thing that you're going to want to work on is vocal fold closure. And that's how tightly you press the vocal folds together. And that's another, the way that we can work on that is with SOVT exercises. I need vocal therapy after abdominal surgery. Still hard. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I've had abdominal surgery. It's not fun. And I've had vocal therapy as well, which is far more fun than abdominal surgery. So I hope that you can find a good vocal therapist. Can you clarify the difference with examples? The difference of what, Tallulah? I'm happy to clarify. I just need an understanding of which technique you are referring to. Me too. Welcome, any Rex in NYC. So I went to Holly Wasser. She's in New Jersey. WASSER. I don't know that she's working anymore. She's been doing it for ages. But I'd start there, look her up, because she's connected to a bunch of different people. So if she's not working anymore doing vocal therapy, I'm sure she can point you in the right direction. Amanda, thank you. Thank you for the rose. I love roses. Tomorrow's Valentine's Day. Let's go. Can one change their voice texture? Yes, they can. Tallulah, the difference between breath support and breath support and breath control. Yes, I can. Yes. So breath support is literally the support structures that help us breathe properly. Think abdominal wall, think hips, think legs grounded into the floor, right? So what a lot of people don't realize about singing is that, especially if you want to belt high notes, you have to have an incredibly strong and tight core. The engagement of the abdominal wall when people are high belting is insane. It's so much. It's so tight. And that needs to be there in order to support your chest voice as well. Whereas breath control is more about controlling the natural elastic recoil of the lungs, right? Everybody take a deep inhale with me and feel your lungs expand. And now exhale and pay attention to what happens with your rib cage, right? The exhale wants to exhale. There's this natural elastic recoil to our breathing mechanism. So breath control is learning to control that recoil. So for example, when I inhale, in order for me to hold that note as steady as I just did, I'm holding my intercostal muscles. I'm holding my rib cage out so that my lungs don't recoil immediately and push all my air back out. So that's the difference between breath control and breath support. I hope that clarified. I think what I'm working on is trying to make my head voice sound like a belt Betty. That's called mix belting. So when you're looking for resources to help you, you're looking for resources on mix belt. All right. Mixed belt will be a future session. So we're not going to get into it today, unfortunately. Time is limited, but lots of people have been asking about it, so we can do mixed belt next week. I don't have any problem with that. Cool. Okay, so now we've talked about how finding our singing voice that is our own, that is natural to us, has a lot to do with our speaking voice. And now we have also determined kind of what register our natural speaking voice sits in, our chest register, our head register, or kind of a mix of the two, okay? So now that we've talked through registers again, I would love for you to say, thank you very much again. This is our phrase that we've been working with. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I would love for you to use the feedback from your hands, placing them here or here or here. Try to figure out, where does your speaking voice sit naturally? Do you have a chest dominant speaking voice, maybe a head dominant speaking voice, or maybe a very mixed speaking voice? Amanda says, why does it physically hurt when I'm trying to sing in a lower range? Are you probably, my guess would be, it's hard for me to say without hearing it, Amanda, but my guess is that you're trying to press your vocal folds too tightly together. You're trying to press them together and down to hit low notes. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. Do you hear how like heavy that sound is? You're going to want to lighten up a little bit and try to make it a little more twangy. Think about like a meow sound. Meow, 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 meow. And you can see that there's a lot less pressure in my neck as I'm doing that. So go to a mirror, sing in a mirror, see if you can see tension. You're probably just squeezing a little too hard to try to hit those low notes. It's causing some pain. Tallulah is definitely a mix in head voice, speaking voice. I can only get into my chest when speaking if I'm having to seek volume. Okay. But that's good though. So what you just did, Tallulah, and I hope it's okay if I use you as an example, because I think that this can help a lot of other people who are here hanging out, is what Tallulah did was she figured out, okay, my speaking voice sits this way. When, in order for me to access my chest voice, the accessible route that I have available to me right now is trying to speak loud. Okay. So do we always want to push your voice to speak loud to find your chest voice? No. But we know that this is a way we can access a new register for you. So that's really good information to have. So if you're at home and you're saying your thank you very much and realizing I have a chest voice, how do I access my head voice? right? Maybe you sigh, like a little Disney princess or something. And maybe that's the only way you can currently access your head voice, but that's okay. The important piece is that we figured out an access route. Does that make sense? Jean, thank you for the follow. You're definitely squeezing too hard. Yeah. So Amanda, you might want to try the SOVT singing with a straw in your lower register too. That will help strengthen without the tension. Just grabbing a straw and singing some low notes through it. And you're going to want as wide of a straw as you can find. Pammy, mixed and throat. Okay. Thank you for the rose, Amanda. I'm always told I'm too quiet, so this makes sense. Yeah, you're going to want to do a lot of those SOVT exercises to get some strengthening in, because something I've noticed for people who naturally speak in more of like a head or mixed voice is that singing in chest voice or learning to speak in chest voice can be very fatiguing for people who don't press their vocal folds together very tightly very often. So I want to encourage you to start exploring your chest voice, but to please proceed with caution. And if your body feels tired and fatigued, listen to it, because you don't want to do any damage. So Rumia says, what key do I start vocal exercise? That's going to depend on your voice, on your own specific vocal range. You want to start somewhere towards the lower end, but that's not your lowest note. I would say start maybe 3 notes above your lowest note. So like, for example, when I'm singing, I always start my vocal warm-ups on a G3, which is the G below middle C, because my lowest note is the E. Depending on the day, it's either the E3 or the D3 below that. So I'm starting about a third above my lowest note and then going all the way up until my voice cracks or I feel strain, and then I come back down. And it's important to note that when you're warming up, the point is to not stretch your range to its maximum capacity immediately. The point of warming up is to warm up. Gently stretch the rubber band. So when I'm warming up, I do not sing my highest notes on my first warm up. My voice isn't there yet. When I was younger, it was easier. So age is a factor as well. If you happen to be in a female body, your hormone cycle also deeply affects your range, your singing voice, the quality of it. Okay. So let's see if we can find our natural voices, whether they're chest voices, head voices, mixed voices, wherever you are. We're going to say, thank you very much. And then we're going to try to maintain a speech-like quality as we sing thank you very much. 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 Now I want you to notice as we're starting to change registers, is it more comfortable for you as we go higher or less comfortable? No right or wrong answer here. We're just gathering data. We're gathering information. So pay attention to where it's easier for you and where it's harder for you naturally. Thank you very much. 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 Wow, my piano skills are not on par today, fam. Thanks for hanging in with me. Thank you very much. So we're starting to get to the point in registers where it's going to be hard to still bring a speech-like quality unless you speak in a pure head voice, which I'm imagining most of us do not, but maybe some of us do. Okay? So we're going to keep going. We're going to do 2 more, but I want you to listen to your body and stop if you start to feel strain, okay? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to stop there. How did everybody do? I would love to know some of your feedback in the comments. Like, what feedback did your body provide for you? Okay. And this is something called interoception. And interoception is the ability to feel inside of your body, which in modern society can feel very unsafe because we're so disconnected from our bodies because everything is mind, brain, computer, laptop, right? We really live our lives from here up in modern society, and singing requires us to embody our entire being. So we really need to develop this skill of interoception, and that is going to be our topic for Frequency Friday tomorrow. And I'll say a little bit more about that in a moment. But first, what I want to hear is feedback from you all. What did your body tell you? Was it easier to do higher? Was it easier to do lower? Did you find yourself putting on a singing voice and not really able to just kind of sing? Thank you very much. Betty says, I have more of a chest voice. I can hit the high notes, but the lower ones are easier. Yep. Based on what I've heard you sing, Betty, I would agree with that assessment. So that's really cool. That's great. So you have feedback from your own self, and now it matches the feedback that I would give you as well as a professional who's heard you sing. So what we've gathered from this, Betty, which is super cool information, is that you can trust your instincts when it comes to singing. It's really important information to have. Pammy, the higher feels like a nice face massage. Ooh, I love that for you. Can I borrow some of that? That sounds really fun. It's like you're going to the spa and all you have to do is sing. Little face massage. I love that. Amanda said it was good. It was easy. I didn't struggle. Cool. And we were going up. We didn't go back down. So Amanda, your challenge, your homework is to do a similar exercise, but go lower and see how long you can stay in that kind of twangy mixed voice as you go low and not grind your vocal folds together. Cool. Okay. So now let's try with an actual song, seeing if we can find our natural singing voices. I'm going to do Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star because I'm pretty sure everybody knows it. Is there anybody here who's like, no, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star? We can definitely find a new, different song. If anybody has a suggestion, I'm open, but I want it to be something everybody knows. Let's do Twinkle. Amanda's going to do her homework. Good. I look forward to giving you gold stars on your homework. I was totally a sticker incentivized child. Like, if you're going to put a sticker on my paper, yes, I will do that. I will do that for a sticker. Oh my goodness. I was definitely one of those 90s childs who had a huge sticker book, which was like one of those photo albums just full of stickers, and you would trade them with your friends. Do we have any other sticker book kids here? Let me know in the comments. It's like, it was like the era of Lisa Frank, right? Which there is a documentary on Lisa Frank. I think it was on Hulu. Yo, Lisa Frank's got some drama. It kind of was a little heartbreaking to watch, but also very informative. All right. Yes, all the stickers. Love it. Okay. So now we're going to try Twinkle, Twinkle. Everybody speak. Have you seen Lisa Frank's sons on TikTok? Out of control. Oh, I know she has two, and the one speaks out against her, and the other one I don't think does. I'm curious if it's the younger one or the older one, Pammy, that you've seen, or is it both? It sounds like maybe both of them. Watch that documentary. Pammy, it'll put their TikToks in perspective, I think. Okay, so first we're going to say, twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are, as if we're performing a Shakespearean soliloquy to our love, the star. Okay? And then we're going to try to leave everything in the same place. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. And we're going to sing it. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Did you hear how speechy that sounded? I want you to try to sing Twinkle, Twinkle, that speech like. Go ahead, try it at home. And let me know how it went for you. Did you feel like your body wanted to do more like sing-songy stuff? Were you able to use more of a speech-like quality? Hi, Ariel. Thank you for the likes. Okay, now I want you to do Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star again, but like really sing it. Like overdo it, sing it. Here we go. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Okay. And then I want you to do them back to back. I want you to like try to sing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And then I want you to like sing, put on your singiest voice. Okay. And for some of my students, it helps to think of these different styles of singing as characters. So maybe you name them. Maybe one is your speech voice and one is your diva Sasha Fierce type voice, you know? So the more that you lean into being ridiculous when you practice singing, the more mileage you're going to get in a shorter amount of time, because you're going to discover that you can make more sounds. Okay. So let's do a speechy one, and then we're going to do a really sing-songy one right after. Here we go. Listen to my example if you want, or sing along at home. Speechy first. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Sing-songy. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Okay, so now that I did those two back to back, I'm going to start to identify what felt differently in my vocal instrument. So when I was speech like singing, everything was a little more bitey, right? Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Mm-hmm. And twinkle, and everything back here was a little more closed off. Okay. And when I was like singing, everything was a little more open. Twinkle, twinkle, right? Everything was a little bit looser. I could feel more space in the back of my throat. Okay. I would love to hear what you all felt, if you felt anything, because here's the other thing I'm going to say too. If you're brand new to this, you might not be able to tell the difference yet, and that's okay, right? There's like totally no shame in that. This is why we have to develop that skill of interoception, and why we're going to start working on it tomorrow at Frequency Friday. But were you able to notice even just one thing that was different between the speech singing and the singing? If there's at least one thing that you could feel different, can you name that one thing? And if you can't find it on your own, I'm going to give you a couple suggestions to pay attention to. So pay attention to the front of your mouth, the tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips, right? If you've ever heard that articulation exercise, pay attention to the tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips, and do it again. Do it right now. Speechy. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Do it again, but do it more sing-songy, paying attention to the tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips. Here we go. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Okay? So just paying attention to the tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips. I noticed the speechy one, everything was a little more pointed and forward and chewy. And the sing-songy one, everything felt a little more relaxed and open. Okay, so that's how you start to identify. Pick one thing. If you can't feel it all at once, if that's overwhelming, that's okay. It's not your fault, right? It's a new way of thinking, a new way of being in your body. It's starting to embody your singing voice. Okay? So start with the tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips, then maybe do it again and focus on your larynx, all of the vocal equipment that's here in the throat. Do a speechy one, and we're just going to pay attention. Even put your hands here, because putting your hands can really help your mind pay attention to that part of the body, okay? Speechy. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Singy. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. So for me, when I'm paying attention to my throat, I felt very similar to the tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips. The speech-like one was tighter and closed off and heavier. And the singy one was more open and a little bit more flowy, a little more vibrant for me. What I feel is not necessarily going to be what you feel. We are just working on identifying feelings right now, sensations in our body. Those sensations are feedback for us that we can use to learn how to control our singing voice better. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to scroll up and read through the comments and see if I can help anyone. Sumali, thank you for the follow. I hope I said your name correctly. If I didn't, you can correct me in the comments, please. Betty says, I feel like I was going more in my head voice when I did it more fancy. Okay, that's great to know. So that is that the information that is giving us is that, okay, so my brain associates being sing-songy with a head voice. That's good to know. That's good information. Gizmo says, I felt more tension, speech, singing versus the sing songs, particularly in Little Star. Yep, Gizmo, I would say I felt the same exact thing. Yeah. Hazels, thank you for the follow. I appreciate you. Thank you for the rose, Rumay. Tom, thank you for the follow. Okay. So what do we do now that we have this super speechy voice and we have this singing voice, right? So we're finding our own voice today, right? So our natural singing voice is going to be somewhere in between these two, right? Obviously, we don't want to be tense and squeezy when we're singing, which is what some of us are feeling when we try to do this speech singy thing. So the next step is we're going to sing. This is what I want us to do all together next. We're going to sing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star speechy, okay? And then I want you to take one step backwards and relax everything a tiny bit and sing it again, still thinking speech-like quality, but also thinking relaxed. Okay. And this is a lot of what vocal singing technique is. It's learning how to pat your head and rub your belly at the same time. And it's really tricky too, because we can't see the muscles or what's going on inside of our body. So we have to use language to describe something, to try to find something in our bodies that's really difficult to describe. Okay. So we're going to start with a really speechy like one, and go ahead and put your hand on your throat for feedback again, if that worked for you last time. Really speechy one. Here we go. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Try to leave everything where it is, but now take a breath in, a breath out. Can you relax everything a little bit more? And try it again. So we're speechy, but we're open. Can we find the balance? Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. No frills, no flair. That is the closest to my natural singing voice that I know I'm going to get as somebody who's been a professional doing this for about 15 years. Okay? Maybe you found it for yourself at home. Maybe you didn't. You will know when you find it. I don't know how else to describe it to you, but it's just like an intuitive thing. You will know. You'll go, oh my gosh, that was it. And when you get to that, oh my gosh, that was it, I want you to do two things. I want you to keep doing it at least 4 or 5 times in a row. Our bodies need 4 to 5 repetitions minimum to lock things into our muscle memory. So repetition is huge. The other thing I want you to do is record it. Record. So you have it. If you forget what it sounds like and you can't find your way back to it, you have it to listen to until you can match that sound again. Does that make sense? Let me know if there's any questions on that in the comments. Thank you for the rose. Tom, thank you for the follow. You might need a few voice lessons. You can shoot me a DM. I sell lessons in packages. I don't really do short-term lessons, short-term like blocks of lessons, but we can discuss it. Or a vocal assessment might be a better option for you, Tom, if you don't want to commit to regular lessons. So let me just take a moment to share my offerings. For those of you who are new here, my name is Tara. I'm a professional singer based in Brooklyn and New York City. I'm also a voice teacher, music educator, yoga educator, and I consider myself like a holistic vocal coach, right? We're not just working on singing technique. We're working on tone. We're working on performance. We're working on music theory. We're working on mind, body, soul connection, and the deeper work that goes into confidence building and putting yourself out there. So I have 4 spots currently available in my voice studio, my regular voice studio. So that means you and I meet online once a week or every other week. I do offer bi-weekly lessons. I know that like having a lesson every week can be a lot. People's lives are very full. So sometimes it's helpful for them to have 2 weeks in between lessons instead of 1. But I do require a minimum of 10 lessons to start. And I also do ask for notice when people are leaving my studio. So, but if you're interested in regular one-on-one voice lessons, you can shoot me a DM. There's more information on my website, which is on my link tree. We can figure that out. However, if you feel like, I want to work on my voice, but like regularly scheduled lessons don't work for me, I also offer something called a vocal assessment. And that's a one-off. It's 30 minutes online. And I ask you to come to me warmed up. And since you're warmed up, the first thing we do is I take you through a vocal exercise. So I tell you exactly what your singing range is from your lowest note to your highest note and what I think your vocal part might be based on that range, like mezzo, soprano, tenor, bass, that kind of thing. I then ask you to sing 2 songs for me, 2 karaoke tracks, and you can find karaoke tracks on YouTube or Spotify. And I ask you to come with 1 song that you feel really good about. This is your song. You love to sing it. You feel confident about it. It shows off everything you can do. And then the other song that you bring to me is something that you struggle with, a song you want to sing, but it's a little out of reach for you currently. Okay. So what happens between those 2 songs is I get to hear your first song. I get to tell you what you're really good at. I get to know your singing voice. I get to pump you up and give you some confidence. And then when we go to the song that you need work on, we then have an extra 10 to 15 minutes, whatever's left of the session, to work through some of your pain points in that moment. After the session, you're going to get the recording and you're going to get a spreadsheet that has 7 tenets of vocal techniques, such as intonation, register control, dynamics, stylization, things like that. And the spreadsheet has all of those different vocal techniques and then a column for what you do really good so that you know what you're really good at, a column on the things that could use some help so that you have ideas of like, thank you for the heart me melody. Oh, and the roses. So then you have an idea of what you need to work on. And the money column, the column that makes the vocal assessment worth your time and energy, is the resource column. So let's say in feedback column, you need to work on mix voice. I'm going to hyperlink free YouTube videos that are the exercises I think would benefit you the most. So then you can go use those free resources, practice on your own until you're ready for new feedback, right? You know what? I worked on my mixed voice a lot. I really have these exercises down. I don't know what to do next. So you just come back and book a new vocal assessment. So this way you get feedback. You can get consistent feedback if you want it by scheduling these sessions whenever you want. But then you get to work on your singing on your own without the time or money commitment of regularly scheduled lessons. So that's a vocal assessment. And those are also available in my link tree, in the link in bio. You can just book one based on my schedule. Or if you don't want to meet in person, I know that's intimidating for some people, you can email me. You can also just send me videos or recordings of your songs, and I can still give you that spreadsheet feedback. I won't be able to necessarily determine your range definitively, but I can still give you a guess based on the songs that you send me. So if you're more of like, I'd rather do this on recording, I'm a little too intimidated to do it on, video chat, that's okay too. I want to, part of my mission, part of my goal is to gently, lovingly, and kindly encourage everyone to use their singing voice and to like meet you where you are. Maybe you want to work on your singing, but like you're not confident enough yet to sing for me. That's okay. It's okay. It really is. If you can get yourself comfortable enough to send in a recording, that's a huge first step. Singing is extremely vulnerable and intimate. So like, please, wherever you are, wherever you're starting from, don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up. It's a waste of time and energy. Everybody is a beginner at some point, right? I've been singing a very long time, but I was a beginner when I was small and I knew I wanted to do it. But when we're small, when we're children, people encourage us to learn, right? Because it's apparent that we don't know anything yet. We're small. And now we're adults and there's shame wrapped up in learning new skills, and there shouldn't be. There's nothing wrong with being a beginner. Wherever you are is exactly where you're supposed to be. And if you want to grow and move forward from there, you will. Alana, thank you for the follow. Oh, Renee's giving me all the gifts. Thank you, my friend. Alana said, what do you think the best way to record is? Honestly, I just use the voice recorder app on my iPhone. I don't know if Androids have a similar voice recorder thing, but I'm sure you can download one for free. It truly does not have to be fancy. Doesn't. Any way you can record, the fastest way that you can start recording is the best way, especially if you're trying to capture something that you're doing in a vocal technique. If you're like, oh my gosh, I just found it. That was my voice in between my speaking and singing voice. Like that was my authentic voice. The best way to record it is the fastest way. So that you don't lose it while you're trying to figure out how to press record. Does that make sense? Do you teach opera? I'm studying the old ways now, but I need a teacher. I don't teach opera. I do have classical training, but I'm not specifically an opera singer. But the other singer in my band actually has a master's in opera. So we can reach out to her and ask her for recommendations. I don't believe she teaches private lessons, but maybe she does. I'll check in. Hi, Melody. I'm well. How are you today? Thanks for popping in. It's nice to see you. Melody Love says you don't need a microphone on it. No, there's got to be a microphone somehow, right? Like my laptop has a microphone built in. Our phones have a microphone built in. So there has to be some sort of microphone, but it doesn't have to be like this. It doesn't have to be like a separate microphone or like a handheld microphone. No, that's not necessary. Quality can help. Hear points for feedback, but honestly, your ears will pick up what they need to pick up, right? Sometimes the video quality on online lessons is really poor, but my ears can still pick up what they need to pick up, right? It's actually good ear training. You can think of it that way. Yes, makes more sense. Awesome. Cool. I'm glad, Melody. Okay. So I'm just about out of time, friends. I'm good too, a bit stressed because I should promote my upcoming song, but otherwise everything's fine. Well, you can promote it here, Melody. Tell us about your upcoming song. We're all going to pre-save it because this is a lovely community where we support each other. Betty says, I've been singing a lot and now my high notes are not there. Is there something I could do? So Betty, I want to encourage you to work on your breath support, because if you're singing a lot and you're getting hoarse, it means something with your breath support is not actually supporting you. It means that too much of your singing is coming from your throat, and you want to figure out a way for it to come from beneath, from below. Let me see if I can demo for you. Okay, I'm going to do Somewhere Over the Rainbow. This is what it sounds like supported from my abdominal wall, okay? Somewhere over the rainbow. Okay, now I'm going to sing from my throat and see if you can hear the difference. Somewhere over the rainbow. Okay. What are some qualities that you noticed in the supported one versus the non-supported one? For me, the biggest difference that I heard was the non-supported one was a little shouty, a little bit more raw, and the supported one was a little more open, a little more fluid. Okay. So what's happening is when I'm not supporting and I'm singing from my throat, I'm putting way too much pressure on my throat. My little throat wasn't meant to have that much pressure on it. That's why we have to use the abdominal wall to support our breath support our breath pressure. Right? This part of our body is so strong. It's so much stronger than this part, which is really quite delicate. So Betty, you're really going to want to focus on breath support, just like Tallulah. I'm going to figure out how to really ground when you're singing those high notes so that they're coming from like your viscera, from like the depths of your bowels and not from your throat. You get it? Okay, cool. Awesome. That's another topic that we can do in future for these voice lessons. Breath support, which actually probably should come before mixed belt. So maybe we'll do breath support next week and mixed belt the following week. Melody says, I don't know how to let people pre-save it. Everything is so new. I don't have access to Spotify for artists yet. That's okay. You just keep us posted. I really look. Does that mean it's your first release, Melody? That's so exciting. Yes. Yep. It does have to do with abdominal support and breath support. Yeah. Betty, if you've ever been on one of my lives where we do the exercise to the metronome, that one's going to be huge for you. You should work on that one. Gizmo says, would love that because I struggle with breath support too. Okay, cool. Yes, I'm nervous. It feels a bit cringe to post about it. Melody, I totally understand. Because you have to self-promote nowadays, right? And there's no way self-promotion can compete with the millions of dollars that the music industry has and that record labels have. But you have to do it, right? I always tell my students, like, you have to be your own biggest fan. You have to learn how to do it. It doesn't matter if it's cringe. It's just like the way it works now. And that's okay. Like it's totally okay. I like to be my students' biggest fan. For my students I work with one-on-one, and I like to support everybody, really, I come in contact with, as long as they're a kind human being. So try to think of it that way too, Melody, right? Like the people who want to support you are your people. They're going to be there for your self-promotion, right? The people who are going to be like, oh, that's so cringy, she's self-promoting. They're probably being that way because they're afraid to promote themselves, to do the thing that they really want to do. So it might be polarizing, but it's okay if it is polarizing, right? Because it'll pull your people closer to you and it'll repel the people who weren't meant for you. So try to think of it that way. On YouTube are some good breathing exercises for abdominal breathing. Yeah, I'm sure you could find some. I love using a breath of fire. It's a yogic breath work. And we'll do it next week when we do breath support. So I think one of the really cool things about when I found yoga and fell in love with it and got certified in yoga instruction, I became a much better singer and a much better musician. And you would be really surprised to learn how many singers and musicians are also yoga practitioners or teachers. And I credit a lot of it to just the breathing, yogic breath work, and the embodiment that yoga allows us to feel. Betty says, I had a great night, made it 4 rounds in one of those contests. Congratulations, Betty. That's wonderful. That's true. Oh, Rumay, you asked about vocal exercises before a performance. So if you're performing for an hour, you want to warm up for like 20 minutes, I'm going to say, before you sing. No more than 30 minutes because you don't want to overdo it and then be fatigued for your show. I think that the type of exercises that you choose to sing should be exercises that will support the techniques in your show, right? So like if you're singing a jazz show, then you're going to want to do 20 to 30 minutes of warm-ups for jazz singing technique, right? If you're singing a Broadway show, then you're going to want to focus your warm up on more like Broadway theater techniques. Agnieszka, can you teach us how to do vibrato? Not today, I'm out of time, but this comes up quite a bit. So I'm actually going to create a video. So if you haven't followed me yet, give me a follow and I'll create a piece of content either probably tomorrow or Saturday on how to learn how to do vibrato. Thank you for the gifts, Betty. So friendship bracelet. Yes, friends forever. Okay. There is some amazing talent. I was proud to be running with the big dogs. Hell yeah. Isn't that the best feeling? I feel that way sometimes too when I sing with certain bands. And I'm just like looking at these singers. I'm like, how am I on the stage with these people? Like, this is incredible. So soak that in. It's a good feeling and a good way to boost your confidence. Yeah. All right. You got it, Agnieszka. I'm sorry I don't have more time to help you right now. All right, my loves, it is time for me to sign off today. Quickly before I go, let me just tell you about my other free offerings here on TikTok Live and YouTube Live. So if you're new here, you can support me in a bunch of different ways to keep this music education content free. Give me a follow, a like, share my content, save my content. I'm just new on YouTube. So if you're following me here on TikTok, and you could hop over to YouTube and subscribe there as well. It's a huge help right now as I'm trying to grow on a secondary platform, because we never know what's going to happen with TikTok in the United States. So I'm the same handle on TikTok at Resident Harmony Nerd, or on YouTube, same handle anywhere you go. And if you go to my link tree, you can click on the link there and it'll bring you right to my YouTube so that you can subscribe. So that's easier than searching for me. That's a big help. So I do 5 different sessions weekly. Next week, there's only going to be 4 because I have a busy week. But if you miss these sessions on TikTok Live and you want to learn the information from the session, the lives are reposted automatically on my YouTube. Okay. So like, for instance, we did Music Theory Monday this week. We learned minor triads. If that's something you wanted to learn, but you weren't there live, you can go on YouTube and you can find it. There's a playlist for each different thing. There's a playlist for Music Theory Mondays, a playlist for Ear Training Tuesdays. Okay. So all those offerings are Music Theory Mondays, Ear Training Tuesdays, Warm Up Wednesdays, Free Voice Lesson Thursdays, and Frequency Fridays. Next week, there's no Warm Up Wednesday. My Wednesday is just too packed. I can't squeeze it in. But there are some Warm Up Wednesdays over on YouTube already. And Warm Up Wednesdays are just me going through my vocal routine. Hey, Raphael. So that you can develop your own vocal routine based on what a professional does to get her voice ready for practice, for singing. Thank you for following me on YouTube, Majestically Awkward. I appreciate it. Okay. And so Music Theory Monday next week is going to be inversions, and Ear Training Tuesday is always the ear training application of the Music Theory Monday. So we're going to be learning the music theory of inversions on Monday, and then we're going to be learning how to ear train inversions on Tuesday. Nothing Wednesday next week. Thursday will be free voice lessons. We'll work on breath support next Thursday, and then Frequency Friday. So Frequency Fridays are more about like the soul piece of singing, the mind-body connection, confidence building, different ways to support yourself, because it's hard to share your art and put yourself out there. So that's what Frequency Fridays are about. And tomorrow's topic is interoception. And that means feeling your body from the inside out. Okay, so that we can start to develop the skills to feel, oh, okay, my tongue is in this position when I sing this way. Oh, my palate is in this position when I sing this way. So when you can start to identify what it feels like on the inside of your body, then it starts to become easier to choose the sound of your own voice, if that makes sense. Okay. All right. So tomorrow's Frequency Friday is at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the times for these sessions change weekly. 1, because I'm a freelancer and my schedule changes, but 2, so that people from all around the world in different time zones get a chance to join live and ask questions. So next week, things are a little more in the afternoon times in the Eastern time zone. Okay, so if you go to my profile on YouTube or on TikTok, you can see my upcoming live events, and those will guarantee that, tell you what the time is. And if you pre-register for them, either TikTok or YouTube will remind you of the event. So that's a way to definitely not miss me. Okay. All right. I love to see everybody supporting each other in the comments. Thank you, Majestically Awkward. I appreciate you being here. I see you. I see you. You all on TikTok are like my ride or dies. You are showing up all the time. I see you. I love you. Thank you for being a part of the community. And if you're new here, welcome. Welcome to the Harmony Nerd community. Music education without the elitism. We're learning how to sing without the I'm better than you hierarchy bullshit nobody needs. Nobody needs it, right? Singing is supposed to make us feel good. It's supposed to make us connected. It's been a communal act for years. So we're taking it back. We're taking it back. All right. My name is Tara. I will see you tomorrow for Frequency Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Bye, my loves. Take care. See you soon.